Which version of you is real? The one who speaks your native language or the one who speaks English? It sounds like a dramatic question, but think about the last time you had a real conversation in English. Maybe you were calmer, maybe you were more direct, maybe you said something honest without explaining it for 10 minutes, or maybe you became funnier, louder, and more confident than you usually are. That is the strange part. If another language only changed your words, your personality should stay the same. But often, it does not. And by the end of this episode, you may understand why you sometimes feel calmer, braver, and more honest in English, and why that version of you may not be fake at all. It may be who you become when your past has less control over you. Start with a simple situation. You receive a message from someone close to you. The message is short, but it touches an old wound. In your native language, your reaction comes immediately. You hear the person's tone. You remember similar conversations. You begin creating a long reply in your head. You always do this. You never understand me. I am tired of having to explain myself. Then, for some reason, you try to write the same reply in English. The sentence changes. What you said hurt me. I need some time. Same person, same feeling, different response. Why? The first clue is speed. In your native language, emotion and language are connected by thousands of old experiences. The words arrive quickly because you have used them during arguments, family conversations, embarrassment, love, fear, and disappointment. You do not only understand the words, your body remembers them. English may work differently. You often need one extra second to choose a word, build the sentence, or check whether it sounds right. That second looks unimportant, but it can interrupt an automatic reaction. Instead of saying the first thing you feel, you notice what you feel. Psychologists sometimes call part of this the foreign language effect. When we think in a language learned later, emotional reactions can feel less intense and decisions can become more deliberate. English is not naturally more logical. It is simply not connected to every emotional memory in the same way. That seems like a complete explanation, until you notice something that does not fit. English does not only make people calmer. Sometimes it makes them more open, playful, and emotionally honest. Because many people do not only become calmer in English, they become more emotional, more playful, more social. Some tell personal stories to strangers. Some make jokes they would never make at home. Some say, "I love you," more easily. If English creates distance, why does it sometimes create openness? Here is the second clue. Having fewer words can make it harder to hide. Imagine someone asks you, "Are you happy?" In your native language, you can create a sophisticated answer. You can talk about work, family, stress, gratitude, timing, and all the reasons your life is complicated. You can speak for 5 minutes without answering the question. In English, you may only have one honest sentence available. Not really. I feel lost. A smaller vocabulary can remove the decoration around a feeling. You cannot always avoid the truth with humor, complicated explanations, or perfectly chosen words. You have to reach the center faster. I am afraid. I need help. I do not agree. I want something different. These sentences are simple, but they carry weight. Without extra words to hide behind, the truth becomes impossible to avoid. Think of one sentence that is difficult for you to say in your native language. Maybe it is, I am proud of myself. Maybe it is, I do not want this anymore. Now say it silently in English. Notice what changes. The truth may still be uncomfortable, but the old voices around it may become quieter. That gives us two answers. Another language can slow our reactions, and fewer words can make us more direct. But we still have not explained the biggest change of all. Why can a quiet person become confident? Why can someone who avoids attention in one language suddenly lead a conversation in another? Consider a woman who grew up in a family where being quiet was considered respectful. As a child, she learned not to interrupt adults. She softened strong opinions. She waited for other people to speak first. Nobody sat her down and said, "This is your personality." But after years of repeating the same behavior, quietness began to feel like her identity. Later, she started working in English. During meetings, her colleagues asked, "What do you think?" When she stayed silent, they did not see respect. They saw uncertainty. So she began answering. At first, she used short sentences. Then she started saying, "I disagree," or "I think we should try something else." And here is the important moment. Nothing bad happened. Nobody rejected her. Nobody told her she was difficult. People listened. Her brain learned a new rule. Speaking clearly could be safe. English did not create confidence from nothing. It placed her in situations where confidence received a different response. Over time, the behavior became easier. Then it became natural. Eventually, it felt like personality. Every language exists inside a culture, and cultures have invisible rules. How directly should you disagree? How much emotion should you show? Is confidence attractive or arrogant? Is silence thoughtful or uncertain? Should you speak about yourself or wait for others to ask? When you change languages, you may also enter a new set of rules. Your mind notices what other people do, what they reward, and what they accept. Then it adapts. Researchers call this cultural frame switching. Different languages can activate different social expectations, memories, and behaviors. This is why your English personality may also change depending on where you learned English. If you learned it through work, you may sound organized and confident. If you learned it through films and music, you may become more expressive. If you learned it through travel, you may become more curious and open with strangers. The language does not work alone. It brings the world connected to it. But now we reach an uncomfortable question. If your personality changes with the language, are you performing? Are you pretending to be confident, funny, or independent? We often imagine that the real self is one fixed personality hidden somewhere inside us. But look at your life. You are probably not the same person with your manager, your best friend, your parents, and a small child. One person makes you talk more. Another makes you careful. In one place, you lead. In another, you listen. None of these versions is automatically fake. They are parts of you responding to different conditions. Language is one of those conditions. It can change the memories you access, the social rules you follow, and the amount of control you have over each sentence. That combination can bring a different part of you forward. Here is a small example. In your native language, you may have repeated the sentence, "I am shy," for years. Your family knows it. Your friends know it. You use it to predict what you will do before a situation even begins. But in English, the sentence may not come automatically. You have a moment to choose. You might say, I used to be shy, or I am quiet at first. That small change matters. I am shy sounds permanent. I am quiet at first leaves room for what happens next. A new language can weaken old labels because you have not repeated them thousands of times. It gives you a small space between who you were and who you might become. And that leads to the final clue. Most adults do not learn English only because they enjoy grammar. They learn it because English is connected to something ahead of them. A career, a move, travel, relationships, education, independence, or access to a larger world. Your native language is often connected to where your story began. English may be connected to where you hope the story will go. That means your English-speaking self is often built around action. You speak before you feel ready. You make mistakes in public. You ask strangers for help. You introduce yourself again and again. You learn to continue after embarrassment. These are not only language skills, they are personality training. Every English conversation gives you a small rehearsal. You practice being direct. You practice not knowing everything. You practice letting people see you while you are still learning. And the version of you that can do those things may first appear only in English. But then something interesting happens. The qualities begin to travel. One day, you set a clearer boundary in your native language. You say, I need more time, instead of giving a long excuse. You share an opinion before someone asks twice. You make a mistake and recover more quickly. The words are from your first language, but the courage may have been trained in your second. So which version of you is real? The calm one? The emotional one? The quiet one? The confident one? The answer may be less dramatic than the question, but more powerful. They are all real. They are not separate people. They are different possibilities inside the same person. Your native language self carries your earliest relationships, memories, humor, and emotional instincts. Your English-speaking self may carry experimentation, distance, and the freedom to respond differently. One remembers where you came from. The other tests where you can go. Look again at the image of a person standing in front of a mirror. Usually, a mirror shows the person who is already there. But imagine that this mirror is slightly different. It does not only reflect your face, it reflects the behaviors you keep practicing. The courage to speak before you are ready. The honesty of a simple sentence. The ability to pause before reacting. At first, that reflection may feel unfamiliar. You may think, that is not really me. But perhaps unfamiliar does not mean false. Perhaps it simply means new. The next time you notice that your voice changes in English, pay attention. Are you calmer? More direct? More curious? Do not immediately correct that version of yourself or treat it like a performance. Ask a better question. What becomes possible for me in this language? Because your English personality may not be a mask, it may be a mirror showing you a part of yourself before it becomes familiar. Not a different person, not a fake person, a future version of the same person, appearing for a few minutes at a time, every time you choose to speak.